family problems or family issues. This is worse than family problems. This is a case I've never thought I would ever cover. When I read this case and found out about this case and researched on it, I'm just like, what the hell? This is like the worst family true crime case I've heard of, except the one that had to do with like a bombing. So in today's case, I'm going to be talking from 1995. This is before the main person and victim in this case was even born. So we're going to start with Stephen Pladl. He came to New York from Texas in 1995 to meet his beloved that he met online called Alyssa Garcia. Stephen and Alicia had been talking online together, you know, they grew fond of each other, and Stephen decided to move to New York to meet his so-called beloved and, you know, just start a healthy relationship with her. The problem with this was that Alyssa was still 15, and when reading this case, I was like, okay, what about her parents? Her parents should be able to tell that this man is probably a freaking psychopath for even wanting to date a 15-year-old. But accordingly, Alyssa's parents actually agreed to this dating and they supported it, and so they continued their dating. Not long after, Alyssa got pregnant. This made Alyssa and Stephen move out of Alyssa's parents' home and they began living together. After they gave birth to their baby called Denise, they actually started having a lot of problems. It was said that Stephen would emotionally and physically abuse their new baby to the extent that sometimes he would pinch the baby so hard that the baby would start having black and blue marks on their body, and sometimes he would even lock the baby inside the fridge when the baby was making noise in the night or whenever he felt like he needed to sleep. Alyssa felt very bad for her baby and decided that her baby deserves to live a very good life and that the baby doesn't deserve to live this way. She thought long and hard about this and decided to give the baby up for adoption. So Denise was adopted by a family called the Fuscos, which is Anthony and Kelly Fusco. And according to people that lived in that neighborhood and Kitty's classmates, she was full of life. Her teacher said that she loved art to the extent that sometimes she would even tell her teachers that a life with no art is no life at all. She loved digital marketing. She was also a vegetarian. So she just basically was a light. She was like a sunshine in everyone's life. So Alyssa and Stephen welcomed a new baby in 2017, and everyone was wondering, like, I thought you gave a baby up for adoption. Like, their family and friends were asking, like, you gave a baby up for adoption, so why are you having a baby now? And they said that they were now ready for a baby and they were more mature, and now Alyssa said she had a job, so she was going to be able to support the baby and whatnot. Not long after, in 2012, they also gave birth to another baby girl. But unfortunately for Alyssa, Stephen became aggressive again. He was always aggressive, actually. He just is like he hated babies and he could not even hold a job to support their two new babies. So on January 18th of 2016, Katie, which was obviously called Denise before they gave her up for adoption, celebrated her 18th birthday. And after celebrating with her adoptive parents and her family and friends, she decided that she wanted to meet her biological parents at this time. And her biological parents were actually not so cool about this, especially when she mentioned that she wanted to move in with them. So, but they felt like there was not really nothing they could do about it, and they just allowed her to do whatever because they felt like she was mature enough now to make her own decisions. So Katie contacts her orphanage home which she was adopted in, and she found out some information about her birth parents, and she decided to message them online. And it actually found out that she met up, you know, or with them, and they decided that, yeah, like, you know, just come to our home in Henrico County and, you know, want to meet you, want to see what you look like, we're excited and whatnot. So Stephen, actually, when Katie came over to meet their biological parents, starts changing. He's no longer as aggressive as he was. He starts letting his hair grow longer. He starts wearing skinny jeans, he starts wearing fitted shirts, and starts shaving his beard. And Alisa, which is his wife, starts getting confused, like, why is my husband changing, you know? She kind of suspected that, is it because Katie has come around? But she just swiped that off her head because she was like, how can this be? Like, this is his biological daughter, for crying out loud. But Alisa made it known to Katie that her father used to abuse her when she was younger. But Katie didn't give a fuck. She didn't care. She just cared that her dad was nice now, and that is who he is right now. So Alisa saw this very weird and just let it brush off. So one night, Alisa woke up to take some water, and then she just saw that Stephen was not in his bed. So she opened Katie's room and she sees that her husband is sleeping on the floor in Katie's room, and she's confused. She asks, she's shouting like, why are you here? What's going on? And Stephen just storms out on her and tells her to mind her business and storms out of the house in the middle of the night, and also telling her that it's none of her business and that he can do whatever he wants. So Alisa moved out of the house and filed for divorce and took her 2 kids with her. Not long after, while she was living happily with her 2 kids, she met a very huge, discerning book that her 11-year-old daughter wrote in her journal. And this information in this journal just made her so upset. And the information in the journals are as follows. Her 11-year-old daughter wrote in the journal that Stephen, that is her dad, told her and her sister to call Katie stepmother, and that Katie was pregnant with his child. The 11-year-old daughter also wrote, do you think dad was just drunk last night? And I think that my dad is a devil. He is Satan. And Katie is human. She also wrote, if dad is a demon and Katie is human, does that make the new baby that they are going to have half demon and half human? Alisa reading this was in distraught. She was basically so mortified to the extent that she cried all night. And then the next day she decided to call the police. The police decided to intervene in this situation, but there was really no proof that the baby or whatever was going on was actually a matter to discuss, or if it was even true. So they just investigated and interviewed the 2 children, but no arrest was made. Later on, in July 20 of 2017, Katie and Stephen got married illegally. And originally, when I saw the photos of Katie and Stephen's marriage, I thought that Katie's adoptive parents did not know that she was getting married to her biological father, but they did. And their excuse was that there was nothing that they could do about it because Katie had made her decision and she's old enough to do what she wants to do. Wow. Not long after their marriage, Katie gave birth to the baby she was pregnant with, a bouncing baby boy called Bennett. Like a month or 2 after their marriage, they were arrested on incest charges. So in 2018 of January, the court ordered them not to have contact with each other and gave custody of the 2 children to Katie. This is also like a very important information that I need to put on here. Stephen's lawyer in court just embarrassed the shit out of Stephen because he basically tried to give an excuse as to why this incest happened. He said that Katie was just there at the time that Stephen was in need, and that he did not force Katie to get married to him, and that this was just all situations put in their place, and that is why just a very stupid reason as to why Stephen was not at fault at this point. But obviously he lost the case and the children got together with Katie, obviously. So this caused a ruckus in town, and everybody was basically knowing who Katie was and what happened. So Katie was basically tired of her world crashing down right in front of her. So she decided to end her relationship with Stephen, not knowing that Stephen was about to end it all. So Katie used to visit her adoptive grandparents' house on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and usually her adoptive father would carry her there. You know, they would just spend family time together and whatnot. So Stephen knew this, and on the 12th of April in 2018, he parked his minivan outside of Katie's house by 12 p.m., you know, waiting for Katie to come out by 3 p.m. with her dad to drive off to the grandparents' house. But unfortunately, Katie and her dad stopped by at the grocery store to get, like, you know, some apples or something to drink for their parents or whatnot. So in the process of stopping their car at their stop to do whatever it is that they wanted to do, Stephen comes out of the car and fires a shot at Katie's dad, then also fires a shot at Katie, then enters back into his minivan and just drives off. The people around were, you know, scared, confused, and decided to call 911. So the police showed up, tried to, you know, get information on what happened, you know, and then they just, some people sent out to look for the other car, and they eventually found this minivan, and they saw that one of the car doors was open, and not too far near the car, they saw that Stephen was laying dead with a shot in his head. So apparently, Stephen had also shot himself, killed himself. And it was also found out that before all of this happened, Stephen had actually broke into his own mother's house and shot Bennett, that is the baby that he had with Katie, in the head. So before all this happened, he had already killed his own son in his own mother's home. And that was basically the end of this family. And it is just so lucky for Alisa that she got out of this situation and she moved somewhere with her two kids where Stephen did not know of, because it is so sure to me that if he knew where Alisa lived with those two kids, he definitely would have killed them too. Just so sad that it's someone that you trust so much not to do this. I'm sure they thought that, oh yeah, he could be a deadbeat father or whatnot, but they never just expected him to actually kill. Even though he was aggressive, you know, aggressive people could also kill. So yeah, that's, I shouldn't say, because he showed signs, to be honest. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching to the end. I hope you guys like, subscribe, and follow my socials. See you in my next video.